we mentioned Oklahoma City earlier, and they're by far and away the best team in the NBA. They're by far and away, far and away, the best team in the Western Conference. They've had the Western Conference wrapped up like since mid-March. They had 50 wins before anybody else in the conference had 40. They have just been running away with this thing from the very beginning. But as we inch closer and closer to the postseason, I think that more and more skeptics have come out of the woodwork about this team. And this team was the youngest team in the NBA to start the season. They're the second youngest team ever in the Western Conference to win the conference. So, they've got a lot of young guys. Some of them have some experience on them. Shea's got some years, some playoff games, a couple others. But the core of this team is very young and very inexperienced. And if you were a Thunder skeptic, Sunday's game against the Lakers gave you a lot of ammunition because the Lakers went out and they just curb stomped the Lakers. I was the Thunder. They went out and in a big game, Sunday afternoon, meaningful game, they blitzed Oklahoma City. Now, they shot the ball ridiculously well. I think in the first half, they were around like 80% or something like that. But they maintained that lead. Oklahoma City's vaunted defense had no answer for Luka. They had no answer for LeBron James. And look, this is a team that, as you said earlier, they could face maybe as early as the second round of the playoffs. So as we sit here, looking at this Thunder team, which is rolling, which is, the best team in the NBA, do you make them the favorite to win the conference? Where do you position the Thunder going into the postseason?
I think they're the favorite, but not anywhere near as strong a favorite as, say, a healthy Boston Celtics team. If the Celtics are healthy, I feel like they're not only the favorite to win the conference, I think they have to be the favorite to win the title again. That's how good and complete they are when they are totally healthy. I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder as still having a slight edge as being the favorite just because of what they've accomplished all season. But it wasn't even the Sunday game against the Lakers that gave me pause because, you know what? The Lakers were shooting hot. Everyone can have a bad game once in a while. Oklahoma City has been sort of coasting for a while, clearly, since they've had everything wrapped up. To have to boom, all of a sudden ramp back up to sort of a playoff level of atmosphere and competition is hard. And I would give that Sunday game as an anomaly and give them a pass for that. Frankly, the Tuesday game is the one that made me think, I don't know, man, because it was closer, sure, and Oklahoma City was ahead for part of it. I don't know about you sitting in that arena. We've watched games enough, Chris, that we can kind of tell how they're going when you get into the fourth quarter. And even if they're very close, you just get a feeling of which team has more energy and which team is going to be able to close it. And it felt to me, watching on TV, and you can tell me from being in the building, it felt like before Luka was ejected that the Lakers were going to close it. It felt like a Lakers win. And that, to me, is something that made me start to doubt a little bit of this Oklahoma City team, because if you can't beat the Lakers either time they're in your building over a 3-day stretch, well, that's the playoffs, man. If you can't beat them in their building for 2 games and then not in your building for 2 games, that's a series. So that is the one that sort of made me scratch my head the most and made me think, I don't know about this.
Couple things to that. One, I do think that there is something to the fact that this Thunder team has been on cruise control for weeks. Whereas when they played Houston on Friday, the Rockets were playing for something. The Lakers, the last couple of games, the Lakers were playing for something. They have been playing for something for weeks at a time. This Thunder team had not. And I think that showed in those Lakers games. I do think, though, they have no answer for isolation basketball. And I don't know if you can win a championship playing isolation basketball, but I think you can beat Oklahoma City doing it. Luka got his numbers, and it's not like they were doing things that were all that creative. Like they were running high screen and roll and getting Luka switched onto Isaiah Hartenstein or Chet Holmgren and just having him work. And the Thunder, for all their defensive prowess, they had no answer for it. Luka was just carving them up. When they sent doubles, he found open shooters. They shot the lights out. Dorian Finney-Smith, ridiculous over a couple of games. Gabe Vincent made shots. Austin Reeves is Michael Jordan. Like he's crazy good now. They have problems with guys that can just get the ball and create for themselves. That's where their defense, being kind of an attacking, create turnovers, switch on everything kind of defense, it doesn't work quite as well, because if Luka can exploit the one player on the floor that Oklahoma City has that's exploitable, everything else doesn't really matter. You're just going to wind up dealing with, him going isolation every single game. And look, they did benefit hugely from Luka getting tossed. And that was a whiff by the referee, JT Orr, who Luka, let me just say this as a sidebar, like, the referee blew it, and the NBA acknowledged that after the fact. The referee blew it. He was not talking to the referee. He was talking to the fan. But Luka talks all game long. Like, he talks every single possession, and he had a lot of back and forth with this referee, JT Orr. Like, a lot of it. JT was the one that gave him the first tech, and he had been talking to him all game long. So, and I'm not trying to excuse it. If you're a referee, you got to be smarter than that, especially in the fourth quarter of a game. You got to know better. But, like, you can see where he's coming from because Luka had been yapping at him all game long. That is a flaw in Luka that I don't think is ever going to be corrected. He's been doing it since his first game in, like, Europe. Not as much his first game in the NBA. But he's a problem for Oklahoma City. And if they wind up playing the Lakers in the conference semifinals and the conference finals, I don't know which way that series goes. I mean, that may not be applicable to other teams, because other teams I don't think have the two just alpha stars like Luka and LeBron. Like, Denver's got Jokic, I don't even know who else would be. I guess the Clippers have Kawhi and Harden, but that's not quite the same thing. I just think they're a problem. They're a matchup problem for Oklahoma City. And if that winds up being a second or third round matchup, I don't know which way that's going to go.
Well, look, the old adage, of course, defense wins championships, not just in the NBA, but all across sports. People love to say that. The Lakers offensively are showing themselves, at least right now, if they continue playing this way, to be the best offensive team in the league, in my opinion. And obviously the defense is not going to be there for them until they get, a center who can protect the rim, and that's going to come this summer, supposedly. But right now, do you think that just with this offense that they've got going, with those three guys playing at the level they're playing and seemingly learning now how to play together, do you think they have enough to just blow other teams off the floor offensively, and it doesn't matter that they don't quite have the defense to back that up?
I don't know. Like, they don't have the rim protection, but they do have the defense. Like Jared Vanderbilt is a problem. Like, he is a menace on defense and an offensive rebounding machine. Dorian Finney-Smith gets them stops.
But that requires them to play at 110% all the time for the rest of those guys to do what you're talking about. And I don't know how sustainable that is during an entire playoff run, but I don't know if it matters if they have a couple bad, only 90% efforts on defense and no rim protection. If the offense is doing what it's doing and you have these capable scorers in three spots on the floor, this could be an offense wins championships kind of situation.
Yeah, I think that's possible. They've opened the door for that. Like, in what series will their lack of rim protection be exposed? Because JJ Redick gets, pulls away from Jackson Hayes pretty quickly, right? Like, if it's not going great from Jackson Hayes in the first 6 minutes of the game, he's coming out, Dorian Finney-Smith's coming in, they're going to play small ball. How sustainable is that in a 7-game series, a physical series? I don't know. But I watch, again, I bring back Vanderbilt. Like, he is just a friggin' menace. Like, I mean, that game on Tuesday, like, he had like 4 or 5 offensive rebounds, knocked around a couple others. Like, he is just a problem for teams on the offensive glass. He could defend like 3 positions really well on the other end. So I don't know. I would just add one more thing about Oklahoma City. And I'm kind of previewing something I'm writing next week. Like, the wild card for them to me is Jalen Williams. Like, Shea got, what he had 42 points in that game, closed the game well. Fourth quarter, he was great. I think a lot of those guys, you sort of know what you're going to get. Jalen Williams is the wild card because, he's the second or third best player on that team. And he's also one of those guys with like no experience at this level. And in that game on Sunday, he was terrible. He was 4-14 from the floor, 16 points, didn't play well. Much better on Tuesday, 26 points, 11 of 21 from the floor. They need Tuesday Jalen Williams all throughout the playoffs because if he gives them that kind of Sunday stuff, right? Like, they're not going to win a second or a third round series. They need to be a lot better than that.